We're up here today to honor a great man and a humble man. That's a rare combination, and I must say, I say that with all truthfulness, all earnesty, and with no doubt or question in my mind, a great, humble man. This is a scary thing for me. Never done this before, emotions are flying high. That's why I drug Merle up here, be with me. Together we're going to get through it. We're doing this for Dad. We're like Dad. Dad would have been very nervous up here too. Everybody says that Merle and I look alike, and we don't necessarily agree, but we are alike inside, and that was Dad. We have his genes, but more so, he shaped us. He shaped us our whole lives, even when we didn't know he was shaping us, he was shaping us. So, the Bible says, be thankful in all circumstances. And today, it's easy to see how we should be thankful. We had all our lives, we had Dad's life, we had all the time to spend with a wonderful man that we call Dad. And for that, we are very thankful. And also, we're joyous because he's now with his wife. He's now reunited. He's at his home in heaven. He's at peace. He no longer has the pain that he was dealing with in the home. So it's also a joyous occasion. And as Pastor Tim said, it's a celebration. We're celebrating a wonderful, great life. I've been reading Galatians, and there's a battle that goes on, good and evil. And it's our sinful nature versus the Holy Spirit. And I can tell you with certainty, with Dad, the Holy Spirit won. 100% the Holy Spirit won. The fruit of the Holy Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Dad had them all. He absolutely had them all. You talk about love. Dad never spoke to us. He never verbalized love. He never told us he loved us growing up. But boy, did we know it. We knew it so well. He loved us through all his actions, everything he did for us. We never once questioned his love for us. When he had his heart surgery, after that something changed and he started saying the words. And those were appreciated, but there was never any doubt, ever. Joy, a man who was always in a good mood. Never see Dad down. Didn't matter, circumstances, he was always in a good mood. He was always in a good mood. Just generally a happy person. And patience. My wife always said he had the patience of a saint. And he did. He never lost his cool. He was always patient. Now, there was a time, and we heard this story, a sister that was somewhat of a giggle box, Thelma. Dad was teaching her how to drive, and I guess she was giggling a bit. And Dad lost his patience that day a little bit. But you know what? I'm pretty sure he didn't go stomping off. I'm sure he didn't raise his voice in angry protest. He got a little frustrated, and I'm sure he got through it, and the lesson went on. Because that's how Dad was. He was always, always so very patient with us. And self-control. I mean, to live the life he did, always living the fruits of the Spirit, and being a good person with all that's going on around him in this world, this sinful world that we live in. And he had all the temptations, the same temptations that Jesus faced when he came to earth. He had all those temptations. We know he did. But did he give in? No, he didn't. He had self-control. He had very good self-control. And he was a strong man. He was a strong man. He worked hard. I worked with him, and he would be sick. He'd have a migraine, and he had to get the job done. And, he would do it. He would stick his finger in his throat and maybe get sick for a little bit, and then he'd go on. And he'd finish the job. He just was an unbelievably hard worker. And, again, he stuck with all his morals in a world. He's stuck with his morals and his ethics, and that takes strength. So I say he was a very strong man. So let's talk about some memories. And we'll start with baseball. Merle's itching to jump in.
Yeah. So, well, God bless Stan. He is the notes, very well organized. So we both wanted this to be perfect, and it will be perfect no matter whether we follow this script or not. We're just so excited to share about Dad. Dad loved memories. He talked to us all the time about things. And, we talk about the memories we had of Dad. We played a lot of baseball. So starting at age 8, 9 years old, we actually played until just a few years ago. But Dad was at almost every game. There's sometimes work and this didn't work out. When I think about it, it was like 15 games a season we would play. And there was over about a 20-year period. Times 2, because he had 2 sons. You're talking about 600 games of baseball. And he was probably at 550 of those at least. So a lot of games. So the one I think about, I called it the fan. At Ephrata High School, where we played baseball, I used to go with Dad. Stan was playing. I was about 4 feet tall, along with my dad, watching from the bleachers, cheering him on. And I'd say to my dad, I can't wait to be playing on that field. And he was, smiles ear to ear watching Stan play. You fast forward 5 or 6 years, I was on that field, and I was playing. I was now 5 feet tall, but senior in high school, and Dad's up there, same spot, the upper left-hand corner of a bleacher, just behind the backstop. And I'd be on the mound and just look up, and there he's sitting, smiling, there. 550 games later, he's there. And that's what he did. He cared. He wasn't there just to appease us. He was there because he cared. And he would talk after the game. He'd be down by the dugout, and he'd start talking baseball. Like, this was a great play, or better luck next time. He was there. And we go home, we talk more about baseball. And he loved it. He loved being part of our lives. And my mom sometimes would say, well, it's time to eat, time to get to bed. But he was there. He was the fan, all 550, 600 games.
Yeah, actually, in men's league when I played, we didn't have many fans, especially in away games. And they called him the fan. Oh, the fan's here. that was Dad. But I remember early days in baseball. The first time I went out, 8 years old, went back to Baron Stiegel, and I didn't make the team. Dad went with me. He saw how these players played in baseball at that age. So, all right, we didn't make it this year. Immediately after that, we started going back to Clay school. Dad's hitting me fly balls in the outfield. He's throwing batting practice to me. Next year I go out, I make the team, and I'm a starter at 9 with 12-year-olds. So
I was chasing the baseballs in the outfield.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point. When we go back to Clay, then forward about 5 years, and I'm in the next league now. I'm 13, 14, Merle's 8, 4 foot tall again. And I'm hitting batting practice, and the balls are gone all over the place. Merle's out there chasing balls, and after a while, I see him, he just sits down on the ground because he can't keep up. And then Dad goes out and he helps him gather all the balls, and yeah, that's the Dad was always with us.
He would throw thousands and thousands of pitches to us, baseball. Hot days, we go over to Clay school. My mom would say, it's too hot to go play ball. It wasn't for Dad. It did not bother him. He was always excited to go out and play ball with us. It just made him just so happy. And fly balls, pitching to us, ground ball, whatever, he was all in. And he wanted us to be the best. He wanted us to, play any sport we were doing at our highest capability.
He never got tired. He'd come home for lunch after working a hard morning, and if I had a baseball game that night, he'd go out in the backyard and he'd catch for me so I could get ready for that game. catch for me, and we also did infield in the backyard. Now that's a tricky business because if you know our backyard, there's two maple trees there, and he would hit, and he's only one guy, so he's right hand, he's got his glove in his right hand, his bat in his left hand, and he's hitting me ground balls and catching them when I throw them back. So he was a man of many talents. But there's a funny story. Another time we spent together baseball, spring training. I had taken my son Spencer, we'd go to spring training, and one year we decided, let's invite Dad along, let's invite Grandpa along. So we went to spring training, and it was great. We went to the Phillies games wherever they were playing. But the funny story was, the first night we got there, it was cold in Florida. It was 50 degrees or something, and the water was cold. Spencer wants to go in the water. And I wasn't going in. I said, I'm not going in that water. But my dad did. He was always on board. He always would do whatever his family wanted him to do. So they jumped in that pool. I had film. I was filming it. They jumped in, and as fast as they jumped in, they got out because that water was cold. But that was Dad, and he enjoyed every single moment of it. Oh boy, hunting. 47 years hunted with Dad, and we could go on probably for hours and hours, but we won't do that. First one I just share is one of my early hunts with him. I was 12 or 13, one of my first years. The snow, we went up to the cabin with our camper, and the snow was like 2 feet deep, 18 inches, probably a foot and a half. And we got up there, we had 2-3 feet of snow, plowed snow along the road. We couldn't even get the camper off the road. Now, many people would get upset, complain, not Daddy, got out of the car, got the shovel, and we shoveled that heavy snow plowed snow away, and we cleared a space. We got the camper set up, we slept, we got up in the morning. He made sure my boots were tight. He tightened them, helped me get them right because the snow was going to be up to our knees. And we went out, 18 inches of snow, deer weren't moving. But we went for a walk, and Dad led the way. I walked every step in his footsteps. And it's so symbolic. Dad always led the way. He just led the way for us. And we knew if we're following Dad, we're going in the right direction.
Dad also had a good sense of humor. He liked to laugh. Laugh is great for your life and for your spirit, everything. So we had this one called the mouse. So we went hunting one time, and one of our hunters brought his little plastic mouse up, and he said something about doing a joke on Dad. So I took the plastic mouse and I put it under a sink in the mudroom. And everybody else knew about it except Dad. And I come into the room and I said, there's a mouse out in the mudroom. Dad said, we got to get it. We don't want a mouse in the cabin. So Dad goes over to the closet. He gets the little hand brush, and he gets down on his knees and he goes through the door, and he's looking, he goes, I see it! And that quick, we bust up laughing, and that quick he says, oh yeah, right. But it was so funny, and we told that story. We're still telling it today. We'd say, we need a good laugh, and somebody'd say, we got to get the mouse out. And he laughed right along. He just loved that part. And then there's a boot time, right? Yeah, we were getting dressed in our mudroom, and guys, that mudroom when we're all up there hunting is full. It's got all kinds of boots and coats and anyway, Dad's getting dressed and he's getting ready to go. I looked at him and I said, well, those are my boots. So he put on, and they were hiking boots. His are high boots and mine were low hiking boots. I said, how did you do that? I don't know. So he had the wrong boots on, and we switched and everything was fine, and we laughed about it. And things slowly slowed down for him over the years when you get to about 80 years old when he was last hunted. And we'd give him extra time to get ready. So he'd be, a half an hour or so before we were going to get ready. We said, Dad, it's time to get ready. And he'd be out shuffling around, and the one time he put on the wrong boots. Some other times he put on one time I remember that he put on his boots, but he didn't have his pants.
Oh, yeah.
Hunting pants on yet. So we're like, what are you doing? He goes, He had to take them back off. And he laughed. He just laughed about it.
I like the time when we get lost. Merle and I both got lost several times. We were very good at getting lost in the woods. So, and we always hunt till dark. So we were in Bear Run, which is a big area. And we were hunting in there. He had his deer, so he was with me. And we were hunting, and it was time to go in. It was just about dark. So we're walking down the mountain, and Merle, it was his idea. He goes, this is a shortcut.
I knew exactly where I was.
Yeah. Here's a shortcut. Let's just go up here, and the road will be right there. And we started going up. Then we went up. Where's this going to end? We get up to the top.
Just keep going.
It's another ridge. And we look across like a valley, and there we see this little flashlight. And we go, is that you way over there? And that was Dad. And
it was way dark. I mean, we hunted till it was dark until we left our spot. What I didn't tell you is we had to drive a half an hour to this place. Walk in 3 miles. So we're getting up at 3 a.m. We're doing all this hike, and we're hunting till dark. The deer move at near dark. So we are out to the sun's down, the moon's up. Been up for a while. And so we were, it was dark. And another hunter?
Yeah. So a hunter comes by, before we came out, the hunter comes by and sees Dad there standing in the dark. What's this guy doing standing in the dark? And Dad tells him, I'm waiting for my boys to come out. And he goes, well, they should be out by now. And he said, yeah, they should. And he said, well, maybe they went in without you. And Dad said, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that.
So we got back really late, probably 7 o'clock at night, had to have dinner, and everybody else ate, and then the next day we did it again. He was right back, walking in, doing that whole thing over again. Not many parents want to do that. They'd be like, you're 20, I'm not, you can go do that. But he was there. He was always a part of our lives.
He was there one other time with his grandson. I wasn't there that time. He was with his grandson hunting bear. Now, my dad has hunted bear since 1968 in Pennsylvania. Never shot at a bear, let alone get one. So the second day out, he gets this message. That's back in the day when we had walkie-talkies. We didn't use cell phones. Walkie-talkie gets this message from Spencer. I got one. Spencer got a bear. 13 years old, first time hunting. His grandpa's been hunting since 68. And I can tell you without a doubt, our dad was more happy than Spencer was. Spencer didn't know what happened. He got a bear. But Dad knew what happened. And Dad was so happy for him. Spencer said he had tears in his eyes. And that's how Dad was. He wanted everybody else to get something. He would put people in his tree stand because he knew it was a good stand so that other people could get something.
He always said, I don't need to shoot anything. I got enough. I want you. We're going hunting. I just get more excitement if you get something. He'd say that all the time. Occasionally I kind of remark back, well, I'm glad we're on the same page because I want to get something too. So he put Spencer in a spot where we had gotten a bear a number of years before that same spot. And he knew that was one of the best places if you're going to hunt bear. He's been hunting since 1968, and he's more than willing to give that to somebody else. That's who he was.
Yeah. Oh, do we tell the turkey story? Or...
Let's go with it. That'll help.
All right. This was an interesting hunt because we piled 3 generations into my dad's pickup truck. It was Dad, me, and Merle, and Spencer. And we left York and we drove to Wyoming for an elk hunt. And it was a great time. 10 weeks after Dad had open heart surgery, it was just cleared to go on this hunt. And like everything else, it wasn't just about the hunt. It was the time together at the campsite, just being in that in that state, out in that beautiful country together. But Dad was the first one. He was the first one. He crawled through the mountain, through the sagebrush, Spencer behind him, and together they stalked this elk, and they got within about 225 yards of it, and Dad got set up, and the guy said, "Whack him." And he did. He shot, and down it went, through the heart. And I can tell you, that day also, he had tears. I think he was very emotional, obviously, 10 weeks after open heart surgery, and here he is in Wyoming shooting a bull elk. So that was a pretty memorable.
You booked those trips well in advance, and he went for a physical before we went on the hunt. And my mom said he seemed a little bit like getting out of breath, and he found out he had a valve that needed to be replaced. And he worked really hard to get that surgery set up as fast as he could, because they couldn't back out. We had it already booked. And 10 weeks after his surgery, he went. He was all in.
Okay, we can't
jump over someone.
Okay. The cabin, we can't overlook the cabin and all the times we had up there. Obviously, that was our hunting place, but it was much more than that. That was our family place, and Dad, was his sanctuary. He loved the cabin. He loved being up there all time of the year, but he loved being up there with his family. Every Memorial Day, every 4th of July, every Labor Day, we were up there together. We were just playing games. Dad worked the grill. He was always on the grill. And you know, when you're mountain grilling, sometimes you have to use a little ingenuity. So I just remember this one time, it's pouring down rain. I mean, it's raining hard, and he's out there in his rain gear. You know, he's always.
We're on the porch.
We're on the porch. Yeah, he's out there. There's Dad in his rain gear. Well, he had to keep the grill dry and the meat dry, so he goes into the shed. We didn't know what he was coming out with. He comes out with a wheelbarrow. He tilts that wheelbarrow up on the grill, and he made a lid that he could use to cook that meat, keep it dry, using wheelbarrow. So that's how you work the grill in the mountains.
He was an all-time pitcher. So we played wiffle ball. Close enough to baseball. We played wiffle ball. All the grandchildren played. My daughter, maybe the one time, she was maybe 4 or 5, and he throws her the ball, and she runs the wrong way. She's going to third, she's going the opposite way. But he laughed. He just loved the fact that she was out there playing.
Yeah.
Walks around the loop. We had, early morning we get up. Anytime we're on vacation, up there vacationing, Dad, Stan, and I, we get up and we walk the loop. We walk around just to see what we could see. We just love being out, and we love being there. It didn't matter what time, what he was going to be doing. Stan and I were there because he would be there for us. So we many walks.
Sometimes we were there when we really shouldn't have been there. We had a little bit of snow one time.
Yeah, one time Dad said he would take corn up to feed the deer. And he did that in the winter time as well. And we decided he wanted to go up one Saturday, so we got up fairly early. All drove up together in his pickup truck. He had corn in the back. We drive 3 hours, and we get up there to the last leg. It's about a 2-mile drive to our cabin, and there's about 18 inches to 24 inches of snow, not plowed. So I think Stan and I were kind of talking. I think we can make it. We can take this truck 2 miles through almost 2 feet of snow. We can make it. Dad's like, I don't know. And he's like, okay. He's all in. We drove a little bit.
Yeah.
About half a mile maybe on the road.
I don't know.
You couldn't see the road, and I was driving, and the truck's going, wherever it's going to go. Stayed on the road, and then we got hung up.
We got out. We thought, let's check the situation out. We went out. The snow was up to the top of the hood. That's not good. So we shoveled it out. So this is how crazy we are. We shoveled that. I mean, most people at that point would have said, no, this isn't working. We need to turn around. No, we didn't do that. We weren't smart enough to do that. We cleared the snow, and we went on. We forged on, and we kept going. we spent the whole afternoon trying to get into our cabin, and finally, we still were not even to our lane, and we said, we're not going to make it.
I think he knew all along. I think all along, Dad's like, yeah, well, let them figure it out. We figured it out, and the day was going past, way past us, and it was time to turn around.
And we thought, okay, turning around will be easy, right? We got all the tracks now. We just run right out on the tracks we came in on, no problem. Well, the first hill we got to, the tracks now are icy, and we're not going up that hill. We're spinning. So along comes this guy on a snowmobile. He comes up to us.
Wasn't very happy.
He was not happy. He goes, what business do you have being on this road with this truck? He said, I fell 3 times in your ruts back there. He said, you had no business being out here. He was not happy. Then he simmered down, and then of course Dad, his usual way, was very, apologetic, didn't raise his voice. The guy, he forgave us, and he actually gave us the trick to get out of there. He said, you got to cut down these little whips of trees,
pine trees,
and lay it in the track, and you'll get some traction. That's how you have to get out, and it worked. It took a while, but we got out.
We had close to a mile to go yet, and so every 25 feet or so, we put the branches down in front of it. You drive on those branches, you get off and you spin, and then you'd have to do the branches again. We got home and it was well after dark, so that was our day. No corn, deer are still starving, and we're back home. So at least 12-hour day, right? Never complained. He could have been driving home saying, you boys, you're too smart.
We had a good time.
We had a good time.
It was a good time.
We had a great time.
Another memory.
All memories. We talk about these all the time.
Now, work is a different thing. Not so much the memories, but just what we learned about our dad and what we learned as people, as young men working with our dad. I mean, he was such a hard worker. He was such a talented worker. All self-taught, electrical, plumbing. He could construct whole mobile home parks by himself, where you normally have like a civil engineer. He was doing the job. He was just very talented. We worked with him for around 7 years, 14 to like 21 we got out of school. And we made mistakes. We were young, we made mistakes, but he never got upset. He patiently showed us the right way and fixed what we did and go on. You want to tell the...
Yeah, so at one of the parks, we get there early. Wasn't early to us, but starting at least by 7 a.m. My dad gets on a tractor, starts digging a ditch, and this lady comes out. She's not going to tell us good morning. You could tell she had a different walk. So she comes out. We had woke her up. She was nearby. I think her name was Nancy. But anyway, she comes down, and she gives my dad an earful. And it was colorful language. It was language, my dad's like, he first apologized for making noise, but we had a lot of work to do. And he explained that, we're trying to get this done so she doesn't have this noise around in the future. And he also said, I don't appreciate that language. I don't deserve that. And just kind of put his head down. He didn't yell it. Puts his head down, gets on the tractor, and says, Merle, we got to get back to work. She walks away, and it was a hot day. And I remember it was maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She comes out with a pitcher of lemonade or iced tea, and she apologized. She said, I'm not a morning person, was what she said. She's not a morning person for sure. Dad was a morning person. He was an afternoon person. He was an evening person. He was all that. But just the way he handles it, when you're growing up and you see your parent acting that way, you have so much respect. And Stan and I talk about this all the time. Dad never, ever raised his voice to us. He never got angry. He would get disappointed. That was horrible. When your dad just puts his head down and he says, Merle, why did you do that? He didn't often say that. He usually said, Stan, why did you do that? But needless to say, we couldn't think of a time when he disappointed us. So we did not want to disappoint him. It's hard when you do that. It's hard. We said, man, it's so much easier if you just yell. But he didn't. He was just a great father.
He was so talented with woodwork. And he loved to use his gift to share with family. He made things. He made things for our children. So when they were born, he made them a little step stool, so that when they were old enough to brush their teeth, they had something to step on. Our boys have very nice bookshelves in their bedrooms that he made. He made, I think, toy chests for your kids. He just loved to use his abilities to share with us, and did a great job. And so many things around our house we can look at now and say, yep, that's Dad's handiwork. He was always helping us with home improvements. I guess we'll finish with the parenting.
Yeah.
You already jumped ahead, and that's fine. I mean, love and respect were at the top. I mean, he had that because of the way he was. I mean, he was such a good person. How could you not love and respect him? And everything he did for us, how could we not love and respect him? So we did not want to disappoint him. And he taught by example. No, he didn't give us speeches. He didn't preach to us. He just led his life the way he led his life, and we learned by his example. I mean, seriously, the bar is way up here. I'm hoping someday I'll get close to it, because I'm not there. I'm not quite as calm as he is. I do raise my voice from time to time. He never did. He never did. He said and he demonstrated his values to us. So, that's all very much ingrained in us. He was just a great servant leader. He loved to care for people. I think, he cared for us all the time. That also brought him great joy, just caring for us.
Lana asked me, are you like your dad? I said, I tried to be, but never as good. Never as good.
Okay. Let's wrap up. This is the closing. So, again, we're so thankful that Dad is now in a good place, and so joyful that he's now reunited with Mom, and he's at peace. That's very important. He's going to leave this big hole in us. We know that. I mean, the time we spent with them, that can't be replaced. There's nothing else can fill that. But we have him in here. We have him in here. We have these memories that we will tell. I can guarantee you we will tell them again and again. This is not the last time we're going to speak about Dad. I can tell you. And when you're out there at lunch or whatever, talk about the fun things you knew about Dad, because there's many. There's so many. I can only imagine what it's going to be like, what it was like for Dad. I can only imagine when he went up there to heaven and he reunited with Mom again, and other family members, his dad, his mom, and others. I can just imagine what it looked like. I've been reading Revelations. It talks about glistening crystal and gold. And it's just, I can just imagine it's the most beautiful place. Our earth, our world would pale to it. And there he is at the gates. He's being welcomed into heaven. And then Jesus Christ, his Lord, shows up. And I can just see the tears coming into Dad's eyes. And he probably, knowing him, he went down his knees and he just praised his Lord. And I can just hear Jesus Christ saying, welcome home, my humble, faithful servant. Welcome home.